Meghan stood on a United Nations plaza in Geneva on Sunday afternoon and warned the world that artificial intelligence is amplifying the dangers facing children. By Tuesday morning, online critics had run her own speech through AI detection software, and the readout being circulated across the wires is by the same assessment that the address carries the hallmarks of AI-assisted drafting. The Duchess, who flew to a United Nations plaza to demand the world act on the machine, just got handed back a readout in which the machine, by the assessment circulating on the morning of the 8th wedding anniversary, may have written her own warning. Yeah, funny how that works, but not surprising. So we are covering the AI written speech accusation landing on the wires the morning of the 8th anniversary. The unseen Chris Allerton carousel Meghan filed to the sausage grid with no acknowledgement from the King's office. The Woman's Day insider on the record classifying the marriage as a pressure cooker ready to explode, and the former royal butler ruling on the wedding photograph that has been quietly removed from the side table at Highgrove. Welcome back, my Royal Rogues. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Let's get down to it. So let me start with that speech. Yeah, the irony is something else. Meghan stood, placed the nations in Geneva on Sunday next to the Director General of the World Health Organization for the inauguration of the Lost Screen Memorial, which are 50 illuminated lock screens for children whose lives in the installation's own language were lost to digital harm. The address ran roughly 10 minutes. The substance was children, algorithms, and the dangers of artificial intelligence. The Duchess told the plaza in her own phrasing that children are being shaped by relentless algorithms, that exploitative engagement and endless exposure to harmful content are corrosive frame, and that AI is, in her exact words, accelerating and amplifying the dangers facing children worldwide. By Tuesday morning, the speech had landed on a different desk. A reality TV piece by Santanu Das filed on the morning of the anniversary carries the assessment that online critics have run sections of the address through AI detection systems, and the readout has produced a line that is, well, its own demolition. The speech is, in the framing the AOL syndication picked up under an exclusive headline this morning, unusually polished, repetitive, and rhythmically structured, and carries the hallmarks of AI-assisted drafting. All right, the hallmarks of AI-assisted drafting on the speech in which the speaker warned the audience that AI was amplifying the dangers facing children. The defense the sympathetic outlets have mounted across the board is the standard defense. Major speeches are collaborative. Advisors and software are involved. The AI detection software itself is not authoritative. I have said that before. The defense is correct in principle. The defense is also irrelevant to the specific frame the Duchess has built, because the Duchess flew to a United Nations plaza to warn the world that the machine has harming the children. And the machine on the Tuesday morning readout may have written the warning. So speaking of the morning's timing, let me tell you what landed on the sausage grid a few hours ago. The 8th wedding anniversary is today, the 19th of May. Meghan filed a carousel of previously unseen wedding photographs to her own Instagram at sunrise. The credit on the carousel is Chris Allerton, the official photographer of the 2018 St. George's Chapel wedding, the man whose camera roll has been sitting on the brand's hard drive for 8 years awaiting the moment the brand team needed to reach for it. The caption on the published post is 4 words, 80 years ago today. One of the images in the carousel, and this is the receipt the British wires have been carrying all morning, is a behind-the-scenes frame from before the chapel walk featuring King Charles. Oh, Hello has the detail underneath. Hello magazine. This is the first time the king has appeared on Meghan's personal Instagram grid since she returned to social media early last year. So we have the official photographer's archive reopened on the morning of the anniversary. We have a king's image surface for the first time in the sausage feed in over a year. You know, the same king from that evil British monarchy. I certainly don't know how that works. And we have in the same reporting the quiet sentence the brand team did not commission. Buckingham Palace has not issued any official comment on the anniversary. The carousel from Montecito went up at sunrise. The official royal family channels did not post. Clarence House did not post. The Prince of Wales office did not post. 8 years on, the side that wanted the reset is the side filing the throwback reel. So it's comical, right? It's really comical. The side the reset is being filed at is the side that has chosen not to acknowledge the date. That brings us to the marriage column, because two separate pieces filed for the anniversary news cycle have landed on the same desk that the framing is converging. A Woman's Day piece on the record of the anniversary morning gives the on-background line the sausage spokesperson is going to be quoting on a loop for the rest of the working day. The wording from the source quoted in the piece is the one nobody in Montecito wants to see in print. In the source's exact language, there is no doubt they are at the lowest point in their marriage. He is hemorrhaging his inheritance. Not one of their projects had made decent money, and it is a pressure cooker ready to explode. Yeah, hemorrhaging the inheritance. Those are strong words. Not one project making decent money. That's another. A pressure cooker ready to explode. Okay. That is the line the British weekly press is carrying on the morning the brand team is publishing. The never-seen-before Chris Alexander carousel. Running on a parallel track on the same morning, veteran tabloid journalist Rob Shuter sat down for his own podcast appearance, and the line Stylecaster pulled for the morning headline is the one the gingerbread is going to have to absorb. In Shutter's framing, the couple are, and these are his exact words, pretty much now living separate lives. They have their own friends. They don't share anything in common. They don't really have any common interests apart from the sausage brand. Yeah, apart from the sausage brand. That is sad. So the marriage is kind of the merger, and the merger ultimately is the brand, which is the most important thing for them, it seems. The brand is the entity the Allerton carousel was filed to protect at sunrise. Not the marriage, but the brand. So Shutter's next line is the one the receiving end of the household is going to have to absorb. Meghan, in the briefing, still has the burning ambition to be around rich people. Harry, in the same briefing, has given up. He doesn't want to do this anymore. To be fair, I have told you many times that he didn't want to do this in the first place. That's why he left. Doesn't want to do this anymore. And let me close on the receipt. The British Royal Commentary Circuit has been recirculating since lunchtime because the small wooden side table at Highgrove is on the working timeline, the line the carousel cannot recover from. We covered a fortnight ago the moment royal photographer Chris Jackson's own Instagram stories from a Highgrove event accidentally caught the side table in one of the king's sitting rooms. The sausage wedding photograph that lived on the table for 8 years was gone and was replaced by a frame of Charles holding a small Prince Louis. The receipt that has landed on the morning of the anniversary is a podcast appearance by former royal butler Grant Harold on the Royals Uncensored. The line Harold delivered on the record on the morning of the 8th anniversary is the one the British press has been quoting since first light. In his exact phrasing, the only person who can move pictures or move things around is the king himself. So it has to be the king's decision. All right, it has to be the king's decision. On the day the wife reopens the Allerton carousel and the husband makes no public appearance, the photograph on the king's side table is, on the public record of a former royal butler, the king's choice. So this is a picture in one frame of on the 8th wedding anniversary morning. A Geneva speech on the dangers of artificial intelligence line that AI detection software has now flagged as carrying the hallmarks of AI assisted drafting. An unseen wedding carousel filed to a personal Instagram grid with no acknowledgement from the palace, the working royal household, or the king's office. Totally silent. Were they silent or they're silent? I don't know. Weekly press insider on the record calling the marriage a pressure cooker ready to explode, and a small wooden side table at High Road on which, by the ruling of a former royal butler, Methane and her husband no longer sit in a frame because the king said no. It's good to be king. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Much love and bliss.